The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are.
I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is.
Don't think, feel. It is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Welcome. Just kidding. Welcome to Digital Communion. It's Thomas Faustine Husking. I'm here with Nick Gabriel as per usual. I'm going to jump right into it. This is going to be awesome. Nick, I've been thinking about this a lot.
Of course you have.
And I know what my answer is, but what gives you hope?
Wow, dude. Oh, dude, that's a gut shot. I'm gonna have to get you back for that one. That's a very powerful one. But, you know, I think it's the same thing that gives all of us hope. You know, there's an expression I'm always fond of using in parting, which is keep the faith. I heard it many years ago, and I always just thought it sounded cool, and I never really knew what it meant. I just started saying it, and the last few years I've started to deconstruct why do I say that to people when I say goodbye to them, and I've realized that it is rooted in the when I say keep the faith, or when people say keep the faith to each other, what I believe it is it's the faith that we're all here doing this for a reason, and that A, it's going to get better, and B, it's going to lead to something better. Because, dude, this is hard. This is fucking hard, bro. It's really, really difficult. You know, there's that study which showed that indigenous cultures, one of my favorite things to reference, indigenous cultures that don't have future tenses within their language have lower life expectancies because they don't have words for hope, and they're unable to project into the future, so they're unable to think that it's going to get better.
Wow, I've never heard that. That's amazing.
So when you're, it's very, I found that very interesting. And so for me, my greatest hope is just that everything is going to get better. You know, like my relationships are going to get better. I'm going to get healthier. I'm going to become wealthier. I'm going to become better at being human. And then also on a larger scale, my hope is that we figure things out, dude. We figure things out on this planet. And then again, it's a hope. It's very often I don't think it's going to happen. But, I mean, you got to keep the faith, right? Otherwise, if you don't keep the faith, you might as well just put a bullet in your brain. You know, if you think it's going to get worse, then what the fuck is the point of this? Why go on? You know, if you were under the impression that your life was going to have a tendency to devolve and become worse, then you might as well just end it now. You know, like, wow. I don't know. That's just something I've had on my mind for a while.
Did you grow up? Did you grow up within a religious household?
Yeah, very, extremely.
And was it important? It obviously informed what you think of the word faith. Do you think it's as easy for somebody who doesn't necessarily believe in, you know, the very rigidly defined gods of, you know, the multiple religions to be able to keep the faith in the same way?
That's a phenomenal question. So if we frame it within the context of the current new age, woo-woo, hippy-dippy belief structure that's going around, to a large part of which I subscribe, In particular, the fact that your reality is influenced by the thoughts that you hold most consistently in your mind. Then when I'm speaking of faith, it's more just of the as you think, so you become variety. The Bible says, my mom always used to say this to me, she would say the definition of faith is belief in that not yet seen, or something like that. It's a better expression than that, but I've realized that that's what it is, dude. Like, you want to develop your personal training business, right? Like, for an example. And why are you putting so much effort into it? I've seen the effort you've been doing. I've seen you've been growing your Instagram account, and you've been posting some interesting stuff, and you're putting stuff out there, and I know that's your goal, and that's your vision. And why would you be doing that unless you had faith that it at least had some probability of working?
That's a great question. One that I ask myself all the time. Why am I doing that? Because it's really not growing at all. I've been told that it's an important aspect of the modern world to have a robust online or social media presence. I don't necessarily agree with it, and I don't think that it's contributing anything healthy or positive to my life. I'm sure of that now.
Wow. Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you said something to me once. It was what I consider to be one of the most intelligent things you ever said. It was in response to one of the questions I asked you, and you said, I think the question was, what are you pretending not to know? And your answer was, I'm pretending not to know that the odds are worse than I think they are for what I'm doing, which is working in the entertainment industry in LA and working as a personal trainer. And that always stuck with me, man. And it seems to me that the people who achieve things in this world, it falls into one of two camps, right? It's those that are given things on a plate, whether it's by birth or through a network or some other set of circumstances, and those that have a completely irrational, borderline delusional vision and self-belief, and who just keep driving through even the most arduous, despondent times and set of obstacles. I mean, that's from my current perspective, and again, it's a generalization into two broad categories, but that seems to be when I find successful people, or people who are living the lives they want to live. They generally, or at least the lives that I consider to be, fantastic. And you need faith for the latter. You need it, dude. It is the most important currency.
But what is that? What is the root of that? Is it faith in oneself, faith in the fact that things will work out the way that one hopes, like the law of attraction type stuff? Is it rooted in that? Because I get it, but I'm just trying to understand from a rational standpoint, like, what is that faith in? For me, for instance, it's in it's this image of Zeus riding a surfboard, and he's got a big boner, and there's like guitar strings in the boner, and he's like shredding guitar on top.
So look, amazing. So I read a quote by Carl Sagan yesterday, which is, survival is the exception, extinction is the rule. Okay, and it hit home to me. It really hit home for me. It was, wow, okay. So think about the alternative to faith and hope in a better future. Right? If we wanna let's be logical and rational. We're all dying. Right? We're all dying now. Your body's decaying as we speak. Right? There's a global system of a global financial and economic system that is rigged against you. No doubt about it. It's controlled by a group of elites, and it is rigged against you. This planet that we're on is rapidly turning into a massive garbage dump, and our resources are depleting very, very quickly. There's a bunch of other things. Your chance of survival or your chance of success in any field into which you enter is tiny due to the fact that there are 7 billion other people, and a bunch of them want that success probably just as badly as you do. Okay, I could go on, because these are things I've thought about for a long, long time. And so my point is, when it comes to my survival on this planet and my desires and my objectives and my vision, having hope and faith is really the only course of action, because the alternative will not get me where I want to go. And that's not even, and I'm very certain that I might not get where I want to go anyway, but there's only really one choice, man.
Very good. Well, so my father has always told me, because I was a big proponent of hope, especially when I was younger. He was in the military, and he very wryly said, well, Thomas, hope is not a plan. And that's never gone away. I mean, he said a few things that are really just awesome, that are, I'm sure he picked up from somewhere else, like, enough is as good as a feast. Time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana. A lot of good stuff. But hope is not a plan has always stuck with me, and it's something I wanted to ask you about, because it is just it's so crucial to who we are as humans, but isn't really an actionable thing. You know what I'm saying? It isn't a plan, but a little bit of hope, if an opportunity presents itself, or a new social connection happens, or someone you come across or meet, or a new place that you go, it just fills you with this incredibly inspiring physiological wave that passes over you, and you go, man, this is a great gift. Like, life is fantastic. Every day is going to be a new adventure. Now it comes and goes, and thank goodness hope isn't constant, because if it was, then it wouldn't be rich, but what gives me hope is it's moments. It could be in the middle of a meditation where I just have this warmth wash over me. I was listening to an old recording that I made a couple years ago, where I had such a tremendous meditation that I felt it necessary to record it in my voice recorder afterwards and describe it. So I was like, I never want to forget this. And I was listening to it, and I'm like, of course I couldn't, get back to that moment completely. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that was a good meditation, but it wasn't like, now I know what that physiological wave feels like again, because you can't get it that way.
We should sell this meditation as a download for $9.95.
That gives me hope. Well said. That's genius. And I'm glad you said something funny, because for a minute there it got pretty dark, dude. I was like, Nick, this is about what gives you hope, not what gives you fucking sadness. Jesus. So yeah, it's so many things can do it, man. I know this is going to sound super trite, but you could see some animals in the ocean, like you could see whales and dolphins, and go, oh yes, there is still a whole life under the water that is teeming in a whole ecosystem that is actually working despite all the awful shit we are doing to the planet. And that makes me happy for the day. Just a little taste of life wherever you go, in a new way that makes you go, that's right, it's not about me, it's about everything.
That's a good call. I have a little plug-in piece of software that works with my browser, and it's called Facebook News Feed Eradicator, and it basically stops the news feed from coming up in Facebook, and it allows me to just use it for messaging. And in place of the news feed, it puts a quote, and this quote alternates. And today's one, funny you should bring up the concept of hope. I think this is very pertinent. It says, it's a quote by Martin Luther, and says, "Even if I knew that tomorrow the world would go to pieces, I would still plant my apple tree." Just meditate on that for a second, man. Like,
It's beautiful. I love that.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
precisely. Yesterday, Ashley and I were talking about the world going to pieces, and I said, maybe we should devote an hour more per day to making every single day as rich as rich as an experience can be every single day, rather than always looking forward to the time when that will be the case. Because, man, we talk about the future a lot. Oh, it's going to be like this. Oh, it's going to be like that. The practical thing to do, the rational and stoic thing to do, is to really appreciate what it is, because this is the only thing that is, and to make that richer within itself. It's already super rich. We live in paradise. We live at the beach. But there should be more time dedicated to meditation, more time dedicated to enjoying ritual meals together with the best quality food we can have, more time to exercising and making the organism really light up and come to life, at least for a couple of hours every day, and together. And those are moments when you can be creative and be very hopeful about life now, rather than what it will be when I get these little tasks on my list done.
Because besides the absolute travesty that our environmental reality is, life for human beings is getting better. It is getting better. And it's come at such a cost, Thomas. Have you watched The Revenant yet?
No, I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it either, but I've watched the trailer and have a pretty good idea of what it's about. And it's one of those things that just puts my incredibly cushy life into very stark contrast. When I realize that I'm complaining, as I did earlier in this podcast or the previous episode, about how difficult it is to take a 12-hour transatlantic flight, when I don't have a bear trying to rape me, which is apparently the true part of that story. The Revenant, apparently he almost got raped twice, or he was raped twice by a bear. I don't have another tribe of a different race of people trying to scalp me. I have enough food to eat. I have a woman come around with a tray and offer me a choice of 2 different meals that was beyond anything those frontiersmen could have possibly imagined. Do you know what I mean? I can have a Thai green curry or a Malaysian roti or whatever it is, and it's served to me by a pretty girl while I'm sitting down watching a movie, right? Compare that to the character in The Revenant who's trying to get across the US, and it takes him months and several near-death experiences. I mean,
several near rape experience.
Yeah.
Well, what's his motivation and what's yours? You know what I mean? And you can't kick yourself for the era you were born in, although I try all the time, because I feel like I should have been in ancient Greece, or I should have been in the 70s. Either or, I'm fine with either.
I got news for you. You were in the 70s, bud.
Was that? That's true. Don't remind me. You can't be bummed. I go back and forth on this. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's oh, well, look at me complain about this when everyone else had it rougher before that. That's not what it's about. It's about stop complaining. That's it.
But that's a Jedi mind trick to help you, for me at least, to help me stop complaining, is just the comparison. Because if things were getting worse and our ancestors all lay around on couches, I don't know, plugged into special machines that pipe fed them the most amazing brain chemicals and fantasy experiences they could possibly imagine, then I'd start maybe feeling a bit shit, right? I'd be oh, but things are getting better, and I want to appreciate that, because it took a lot to get to this point. I'm sure that both of us, especially you with your hereditary, I'm sure we had a lot of ancestors that went through some fucking tragic shit, dude. And for us to sit and complain about pretty much anything I don't know, dude. I have a feeling that our great grandfathers would slap us upside the head if they knew we were complaining.
I've been talking about this theme for the past couple years. I mean, it's gotten to the point now where we're so soft that we look for things to be offended by, just to give us something to, be just sort of completely shocked by during our day, to give us a little bit of life. Oh, now that offends me. I'm going to write about it and express my outrage at this thing because I have nothing better to do with my life, no other motivation. I would, I know we need to wrap this up, but I would suggest to you then, if you're worried about, softening up a little bit, do something a little bit extreme. Do a fast.
I'm not worried, bud. I'm not worried. No, I'm not worried. Like, compared to the average individual, if I do say so myself, I think I'm tougher than the average Western individual, at least. Especially physically, I might not be as intense as you with the fasts and the training and stuff, but I live a very frugal lifestyle, dude. Like, I don't. I can sleep on a floor. I can go without sleep very often. I can miss meals. Like, I'm not. Like I've spent the last 15 years of my life being strangled by people for a living. Like, I reckon I'm okay.
Yeah, you're good. I guess maybe for anyone else out there that feels a similar symptom to you, that isn't a champion, at jiu-jitsu, but your lifestyle. For me, I just want to be perfectly clear. There are multiple reasons why I do the fasting. This is my second one. A lot of it is conditioning against what we're describing as a potential negative. The potential downsides of modern living, where you become soft and weaker due to the environment or just this current age, you can combat that by training your body and mind. And for me, I feel like I've run the gamut in terms of physical training, and now I want to start to improve my mental game.
Wow.
And the fasting is
It's a mental game.
It's tough. You're battling the better.
Well, the most powerful drive there is, besides the urge to breathe. I mean, it is the most powerful drive. Well, I really do respect you, Thomas. I've had a little bit of experience with fasting. It hits fucking hard, bro. Respect to you. Yeah. Well, it looks like we've come to the end of another, what I would consider to be very stimulating conversation. Thank you, my brother.
It was all right.
Yeah, it was okay. Guys, please, if you're enjoying these shows, the best way you can thank us is to leave a review on iTunes. And actually, I just realized we do have a donation widget up on the site now. It does cost money to run Digital Communion. Thomas and I will not spend your donations on strippers and coke. I can promise you that. It will go to hosting fees and paying for what else? We've got to pay for the SoundCloud to host the audio. We've got to pay for the server to host the site. I got to pay my assistant to do a bunch of the horrible admin. So any little amount helps keep Digital Communion going. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.